Well guys, here we are again, and this is another tasting video of a Michurinska 10, but this time we're going to taste the main crop. Now I'm probably picking this one slightly early because the flies are all over it. Yeah, I mean it's nearly done, but sure, we'll just give it a go. We can see a lot of that scarring there, I think has probably been eaten away by the flies, which is not good. The fig itself is pretty small. And I'll zoom out and see if we can get a good picture. Yeah, so you can see it's pretty small there. It looks, hopefully they're sugar spots. Um, there's no latex on it, so it is ripe, but I still would have preferred to leave it go a few more days. And I have to say, I'm extremely impressed with this tree for a couple of reasons. I'll go into that now in a sec. I'll just give this a taste first. That's quite jammy, it's not cutting at all. I'll try this side here. So you can see there, not quite syrupy. It's still looking relatively ripe. Let's give this a go. Yeah, that's okay. Pretty nice, pretty sweet. Definitely could have done it a few more days. I probably have to put some netting over this to stop the flies getting at it. But yeah, it's not bad. I've definitely seen them bigger on this tree. I think they can get up to about 40 to 50 grams thereabouts. I think they are generally small, but not too small. Now granted, this tree is pretty small itself. It's pretty young too. It's only its second year, and it's probably about maybe 1.5 feet tall. But yeah, I have to say I'm really impressed with this for a couple of reasons. One, it's very productive. So you've seen the bribes that were on this earlier on this year. I got probably about 8 of them off this, which is really good, and they ripened quite early, which was in the start of July. And we have main crop as well. Now it did drop a few main crop. I'm not sure why. You can see some over there that have black spots. I'll try to zoom in there. But then these ones here are looking much better. So the second reason I really like this tree is that it's super early. I would think this is probably the earliest ripener that I have. Although the Ronde Bordeaux did pip it at the post there in terms of ripening times. I'm going to say this is the earliest because it's actually ripened. It's ripening its main crop now, as well as ripening a brave crop already. And that's never happened to me at all since I've been growing figs. So to give you a comparison, last year I had 2 trees in my other polytunnel, and they had lots of bribes on them, and they produced a lot of main as well. And they ripened their bribes crops at the end of July, and I left the main crops on them, and then the main crops failed to ripen that year because I presume it's because they put all their energy into the bribes crop. But this tree, on the other hand, has ripened a braiba and is now ripening main, and this is even before September, which is just spectacular. I do have lots of varieties in here that will actually just begin to ripen their main crops in September and into October. They're quite late ripening, and that's with only having a main crop on them, and that's basically growing them without a braiba crop, so they get the head start on their main crops. So this is phenomenal. So not only is it productive, it's also extremely early, and as I said, probably the earliest that I have here. Another really good thing about this is that it's cold hardy, and I would have talked about this in a previous video, that this is one of those trees that I did not protect from any of the frosts earlier on this spring. And we had some really harsh ones, and we got a lot of dieback on some of the trees, particularly that Ronde Bordeaux, but this one didn't. It took it like a trooper, and in fact it didn't even drop any of its bribed figs, which is just phenomenal. There is a few down points, or whatever you want to call it, caveats maybe. I haven't experienced this yet because it's fairly dry here, although I think once the tree gets bigger, its roots will move to the surrounding area, which can get quite wet. But this is a splitter. I wasn't sure if it was, so I just did a quick Google and found out that it does split with heavy rain. And unfortunately we're getting an absolute ton of rain at the moment. I'm back in Ireland about just coming up to 3 weeks, and every single day it has rained. There has not been one day in the last 3 weeks that we have not got rain. And not only that, it's been very overcast and dark. to give you an example of how dark that is, yesterday I was leaving the house at about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and I had to turn on the lights because it was so dark in the house. But despite the lower light levels, she's still coming through and still ripening her brave crop, and our main crop. And you can see this one here is starting to ripen, so that's probably going to be ready in about a week or so. So yeah, I cannot but highly recommend this particular variety, Michurinska 10. If you're growing in a northern climate, you should get your hands on this one because they ripen so early. And I'd say you could possibly get this to ripen its main crop outside if you have a good enough or maybe a very well sheltered garden. But yeah, this is a winner for me. Let's see how it copes in future years with the rain, and hopefully in the as it gets older, the figs themselves will get bigger. I might have to protect them from the flies because that's not good there. But anyway, there you go, Michurinska 10, a keeper.